Mike Diercksen with Proactive, and you're listening to the Building Byte podcast. Tune in as we spotlight our guest, Ryan Famularo, Head of Growth at Procore Risk Advisors. Our episode today is focused on illuminating the construction insurance market through data aggregation. For more information on this episode and others, please check us out at the Building Byte at www.buildwithproactive.com.
Welcome to the Building Byte podcast, a podcast for construction contractors, owners, and insurance professionals, where you'll hear from the experts about key topics to help you be successful. I'm Chris Epps, a Vice President with Proactive, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Mike Diercksen, our Manager of Marketing and Business Development. Our guest today is a true innovator and a dynamic presenter, Ryan Famularo, Head of Growth at the newly minted Procore Risk Advisors. Ryan, welcome to the show. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Chris, and thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to get this conversation rolling.
Absolutely, as are we. Mike, how are you this afternoon?
Doing good. Really glad we had Ryan on the show today, and excited to hear more about this. I know we saw the all the news surrounding this, and excited to hear it right from Ryan himself.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit different than perhaps some of our normal topics. But before we dive in, Ryan, I was hoping maybe you could briefly share a little bit about yourself and your background and maybe your journey to how you arrived at Procore Risk Advisors.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey. So I've been in the construction industry for about 15 years. It's the only industry I've ever been in. Started out as a PE project engineer for a mid-sized contractor down in San Diego, vertical builder. This was around 2008-ish. Ended up getting acquired, the company did. So I found myself in 2009 without a job, which is not a great time to not have a job in historically. But ended up somehow making my way over to the AGC, the Association of General Contractors. Loved the organization, wore many hats there, everything from labor relations. Ended up taking on the head of marketing for the organization, spent about 7 years doing that, and then made my way over to Procore, really just for my love for technology, and they were on a rocket ship of growth. And so it was a great opportunity for me. Been at Procore for about 6 years. Doesn't feel that long when I say it out loud, but wore many hats here as well. Done operations, was the head of brand through our IPO, which is an amazing experience. And now I find myself leading our go-to-market team for our new fintech, specifically Procore Risk Advisors, which is our new insurance arm. So excited about the opportunity and the trajectory we're on.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm really excited to dive into this here. And our main topic of today is illuminating the construction insurance market through data aggregation. And I think the $1 million question you brought up, hey, you joined Procore because of your love of technology. I think most people would say Procore, yeah, Procore Solutions. I know that. It's a technology company. But what is Procore Risk Advisors? Can you give us a little bit about, that insurance arm, how you operate and how you're entering the insurance market?
Yeah, of course. So Procore Risk Advisors, and I want to make this clear, is Procore Technologies, there are our new modern insurance brokerage that's built specifically for construction. So just like our technology is vertical SaaS, where we only service construction, same is true for Procore Risk Advisors, right? We're only focused on the construction industry and that area of expertise. So right now we're in the very early days. We officially launched the brokerage and the underwriting unit late last March, I believe is about the timeline. We really always go back to our vision at Procore, which is improving the lives of everyone in construction. We are now looking specifically at how to help customers improve and see better outcomes by leveraging this technology with their insurance surety and specifically their overall risk management programs. Our mission differs, just a little bit. We look at delivering modern and efficient construction risk management solutions that empower the people to build the world. So it's a little bit different than helping the people that build the world, which is kind of Procore's holistic one. We specifically focus on the risk management and insurance side.
It's really interesting, Ryan, and I guess I never really thought about a large tech firm kind of getting into the insurance space, but there's so much overlap there and so much just benefit. in that combination, it does make sense. What would you say to those GCs who may be listening that might be a little nervous about allowing their tech platform with all their access to their data, or at least hosting their data, to become their broker and underwriter?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think it's important to remember that we don't access a customer's data, obviously, without their permission. We only access it to better represent them. And that's an important key differentiator. And today there's a lot of subjectivity in the underwriting process. And that's what gets us so excited about this, monumental shift happening, right? Good underwriters are trying to ask questions, but they don't have all the information. They need to get industry to how to run their job sites, how they leverage this data, and how data can have really a big impact into filling those holes the underwriters are really looking for. So yeah, the key thing is, like, obviously we never want to go into somebody's data and look at it, obviously, without their permission. So I think that's a thing I want to make clear.
Yeah, I'm sure that's comforting to a lot of our listeners, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
absolutely makes sense. I mean, but it's also, there seems to be a huge benefit there that they're not chasing that data. It is available when they need it, when you're signing up for these policies. Maybe could you tell us a little bit more about benchmarking and kind of how that data maybe impacts that process, or global perspective, how it impacts your clients?
Yeah, again, a really good question. Seeing our customers and their advancements, I think, in the safety arena over the last 20 years has shown us that tech-enabled contractors are inherently better risks, and they run safer job sites. They invest the time and energy in best-in-class operations and software. We've always struggled with the ability to kind of prove this out. So we actually set out at the beginning of this year to prove just that. We partnered with Frost and Sullivan, and what we did is we did a comprehensive study of the OSHA 300 data, and specifically around incident rates and days away from work rates. And if you're in the construction industry, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What we did is we looked at tech-enabled contractors, specifically Procore customers, and we compared them to industry folks that aren't Procore customers. And what we found was that Procore customers showed a significant reduction in both incident rates and days missed away from work, almost 40% lower. And this is over a span of
Wow,
about 7
that's
years.
a real
Uh,
number.
yeah, yeah. So and again, correlation doesn't mean causation, and we understand that, but the data is there that says, like, technology is having an impact on, how these risk profiles come to life. And what we really want to do is uncover that and highlight what the tech-enabled contractor is doing and really elevate them to get them better insurance. And right now they're just being compared to, your average everyday contractor, and not getting those best-in-class insurance terms they've earned.
Mm. Yeah, Ryan, I'm hoping, can you even expand on that just a little bit further when it comes to what exactly it is that the technology is providing you, right? We talked about being more tech savvy helps reduce your risk, but what are you seeing there? Is there a benchmark in particular that's helping you kind of write that?
Yeah, so without getting in too much of what we call around here our secret sauce, it's essentially everything a contractor does on a project
Hmm.
is is a metric of risk. And sometimes I think we really focus on just the safety and the incidents. But if we look at things closer, and from an underwriting standpoint, you look at things like punch list, you look at things like response rates to RFIs, you look at, like,
Hmm.
did they meet their budget they set out to begin with? How quickly do they respond to change orders? Are they using their daily longs on a daily basis, like, as the tools are intended? These are all metrics of risk and how well you run a job site.
Hmm.
And a lot of this, again, I go back to the subjectivity of the underwriting process, isn't taken into account. Again, good underwriters are trying to ask these questions. If you've ever been part of the process, they have to, like, pull it out of you. If we can
Right.
fill in those gaps and
Hmm.
give them these little things, like, hey, these guys, started out with a budget, they're actually under budget, and they know how to hit it. That's a metric of risk that the underwriter wants to know. and it ultimately results in like better terms for them. So that's kind of the without getting into many of the details of like the Procore, tools and things we use. We look at everything holistically and like highlight the great areas that you're performing to get you better terms.
It's almost like instead of talking the talk, it's the walking the walk portion, right?
Yes.
Because you can see through the documentation, through the data points, okay, their practices, they don't just say that's what they're doing. We can demonstrate that is what they're doing. And there's a different level of confidence in that from an underwriting perspective.
Yes, yes. And I think it's important to note that this technology didn't exist, 5, 10 years ago, right? So we always get the question of like, why now? Procore has always been successful in its business by listening to the needs of its customers and building alongside them. We always hear, I think we always hear the term that construction is a lagger when it comes to technology. And we found that couldn't be further from the truth is that the construction industry just hasn't, or the technology industry hasn't built tools made for construction, which is what we do. We actually work hand in hand with customers and build them. And 3, 5, 10 years ago, this data didn't exist. And so that's why now we actually have this big component of data for 10 years of aggregate data that we can actually go back and start to fill in some of these holes. So it's a really exciting time, and that's what really gets us excited at the Risk Advisor team.
Yeah, I guess from the underwriting perspective too, it's really interesting that you not only that you have that data and you don't have to chase it, but it's immediately validated. Like it's there. It's been you've been collecting that data, and your customers have it at their fingertips, and have been, I guess, collecting that for their own real benefit. You kind of monetize that for their benefit, right? At the end of the
Yep.
day, whether that's reduced premiums or enhanced coverage or just making the underwriting process more efficient. So I think that's an extremely valuable selling point for our audience. And we typically like to leave our audience with kind of three takeaways, and maybe given our conversation so far today, what would those three be in your eyes?
So I don't know if I have three. I have two here, and maybe they'll kind of blend together. We talked a lot about data. So what I would say is a good takeaway is whatever technology you're using today, whether it's Procore, whether it's one of the other softwares, tech stacks you're leveraging, you really need to start leveraging your historical data in some way. It's a powerful tool to just improve your business overall. If your broker isn't asking you for your historical project data to help better underwrite you, you're probably being underrepresented. And again, I'm just focusing kind of just on the insurance side and the risk management side, but holistically as an organization, like, and I'm sure people have heard this before, but it's you got to start leveraging your data to improve your business. I think that would be like the number one. And second, a lot of contractors today are not looking at insurance, I would say, as a critical component of a business advantage. Right now it's kind of a status quo. You contact your broker, you get the price quote, and you're like, well, there's nothing I can do. This is the price, is the price. I would encourage everyone to really take a second look. The industry is in the middle of a huge change with the hardening markets you see. Margins are slimming on the contractor side year over year. Insurance can really be a game-changing way to help grow your bottom line and help you get better coverage and better terms that you guys that they all deserve. So take a second look. Don't settle for the status quo of like what you're getting.
Yeah, there's a great comment I had in a previous episode here, but data's great, but only if you're using it effectively, right? You can collect all the data points, but if you're not using it, it just kind of sits somewhere in a Excel spreadsheet or some kind of forum there.
Yep.
Ryan, another thing we like to do, we like to ask for an action item, right? So if I'm a risk manager, an underwriter, if I'm listening to this conversation right now, what would be the first thing I need to do, right? If this is piquing my interest and going, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. What would you say is the first step they should take towards maybe exploring these options?
Yeah, we talked a lot about data and leveraging data. I like to lead with data. What I would say is dig into this OSHA report. It's called Uncovering the Risk Data, and it's by Procore. I can provide you guys a link if you need, but absolutely dig into this report and get the proof you need that shows you that data and technology is really impacting your risk. And if you're leveraging technology as a contractor today and you're not leveraging that data, go in and take a look at it and just say, I'm probably in this lower bucket and I should be looking at my insurance a little bit more critically, or my surety, to get me better terms on my insurance.
Sound advice. So, Ryan, before we let you go, we always like to hit our guests with a few rapid fire questions. So, first and foremost, I think I know the answer to this given our conversation, but what is it that makes you the most energized about your work in this industry right now?
You know, our team is providing real value to our customers. We're watching some of the customer growth without getting again into the details of which customers, but like from the small guys, we're seeing them start to move into some bigger projects,
Mhm.
increasing their capacity. You know, something that a traditional brokerage isn't looking at critically because they don't look at how they're reducing risk. And we're able to offer them that, and we're watching them grow from a small to a medium to start almost tipping into the large scale. And it's really exciting to watch these businesses' growth take off with the support of Procore.
I I would imagine on the other end of that spectrum too, right, Ron? You traditionally worn a lot of hats throughout your progression at Procore, but these days, what keeps you up at night professionally? What's front of mind for you?
Um, it's a good question. I think execution, insurance historically is a complex and hard to innovate, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here with you too. You know, getting contractors to think about risk management holistically and to improve their programs is not something that's easily done. So it's something that kind of keeps us up at night is how do we get the message out that there are better ways to do this? I think again, we're really excited about the opportunity, but I think how do we get them to improve their programs is really what is driving that, keeping us up at night.
Gotcha. Is there anything else we should have asked you maybe today that we didn't get to that you'd like to expand on a little bit?
You know, not really. It's just, you know, we're excited about the opportunity. Our team is growing every day. You know, I think there's this, you know, we are part of Procore and it is an exciting opportunity. And yeah, just, you know, continue to leverage your data, continue to look at insurance holistically. And, you know, feel free to reach out to us if you have questions and you want to learn more. You know, we're here to help.
Yeah, Ryan, one last thing we like to leave every episode with. It is the building bite. So that's building insurance technologies with the experts. I know you're out in California, Santa Barbara. So the question now is, what are you taking a bite out of today? What's the best spot to grab some food at Santa Barbara?
Yeah, Santa Barbara is a great place for food, and everyone's going to expect me to say tacos here. But I'm going to go a different direction. I like a place called Convivo. It's down on
Hmm.
the water in the Mesa. If you're ever out here, I would definitely check out Convivo. It's got some great dishes, fresh food, fresh seafood. It's by far one of my favorites. And if you like tacos, yes, we have a lot of great street tacos. So check those
We
out.
do. Mike and I pretty much exclusively plan our personal travel around the feedback we get on this question.
That's
So,
right.
uh,
I love it. I love it.
well, Ryan, definitely appreciate you taking the time out to chat with us today. If our listeners want to hook up with you after the podcast launches, where can they find you?
Yeah, email is a great way, ryan.famularo@procore.com. You're also able to, you know, visit our page, which is procore.com/insurance. Always feel free to reach out to us. You know, we're a growing team, but somebody will reach out quickly. I really do appreciate you guys having us on, you know, on the show. And yeah, I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thank you again for your time, and look forward to catching up with you in person soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to The Building Bite. This podcast has been brought to you by Proactive. Check us out on thebuildingbite.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on social media for all future The Building Bite news and updates. You can also find us on your favorite apps, including Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Amazon. If you have ideas for episode topics that we should cover on the show, or you know somebody who would be a perfect guest, let us know at connect@thebuildingbite.com.